you've started collecting Militaria, but what should you collect? It's too easy to rush in and say, I want SS this or Fallschirmjäger that. But that way there'll be dragons. Please chill, relax. There's no rush. Take your time, do the knowledge, read the books, go to the fairs, think about what you want to collect. Now, ideally you should collect what you want, not what I tell you to collect. You have to have a love or a passion for it. You have to be interested in the things you collect. Some people have varied collections. Some people specialise in certain areas. For example, when I started, my first item when I was 10, which is nearly 50 years ago, was an Iron Cross second class, which I've mentioned before, on my wall that my grandfather brought back from the Great War. But when I got a little bit older and I started thinking about collecting, I started with British cap badges. Back in the 80s, this was quite a cheap and easy way of starting collecting. There was a good selection of badges. There was really a really good selection of different line regiments, the corps. British cap badges was an ideal introduction to the hobby, one that has been an area of collecting for many, many collectors. The standard textbook was Kipling and King, and to this day I don't think there is a better textbook about British badge collecting. So I started with British cap badges, and then after that I decided, I quite fancy helmets. And I went through a few phases that most collectors go through. The first phase was to get as many helmets as I could. Didn't matter whether it was First War, Second War, post-war, whether it was British, German, Spanish, Italian, American. You collected everything, absolutely everything. As many helmets as you could get, and you filled your room with helmets. After a bit of time, you then thought, I'll maybe stick to World War II. So you go from a really wide collecting field down to a narrow or narrower area. And that's what I did. I decided, I'll collect World War II. So I got rid of the post-war helmets and, the helmets I wasn't that interested in. I concentrated on World War II helmets. So then I thought, maybe I'll just collect World War II British and German. So I narrowed the field down yet again. Then after a while I thought, I'm going to stick to German helmets, World War II German helmets. And that way starts to get very expensive very quickly. Unfortunately with collecting, for mere mortals like myself, when you want to move into something else, you quite often have to sell or trade some of the items you already have. So I moved from helmets. I had a bit of a downer with a fake Fallschirmjäger helmet. Fallschirmjäger Model 38, one of the early Czech copies. When these come on the market, they were really, really good. They were aged well and they looked really, really good. I fell for it. I traded some really nice items for it because a Fallschirmjäger helmet was the pinnacle, for me, the pinnacle of German helmet collecting. I was a little bit scunnered, it's a Scottish word for a bit hacked off, when I found out it was fake. And this is the worry for new collectors. When you first start, you think SS, Fallschirmjäger, and you rush in, as I did to a certain extent. You go for these top-end items, but you haven't taken the time to research, to ask other collectors, trusted dealers, to get a feel for what to buy, what not to buy, the fakes and any of the fantasies as well. And trust me, the hobby is full of fakes and fantasies, and there's no shortage of people who will quite happily sell you those fakes and fantasies. Some knowingly and some not knowingly. That sounds a bit rubbish, doesn't it? Some who know they're fakes and some who don't know they're fakes. Anyway, so I didn't get into that. Then I changed tack. I went into just varied items again. And then I decided quite a few years ago now to concentrate on German belt buckles. And I've come and go with that, and collection has got bigger or got smaller, and I've got rid of most of the collection over the years and then started getting things back. The one thing I will say is, if you are a new collector, don't scrimp on textbooks. When I got rid of my collection, the one thing I kept was all my reference books, and that is something I've really been pleased that I did, because reference books, they're essential. Now, you have to know good books from bad books. A lot of the books have got fakes in them, and people think, oh, it's in a book, it must be right. Authors can get it wrong as well. So what I'm trying to say is that when you start to collect, it has to be something that interests you, because if you're not interested in it, you're only going through the motions. But it's also something that you can quite confidently collect, knowing that you're not going to get burned. Now, every collector gets burned at some stage. It's almost a rite of passage for collectors. It is going to happen. You might as well accept that now. The idea is to not get burnt for too much money, and ideally do the knowledge so you don't get burned as often or at all. If you've never been burned, you probably either are very, very good, you're very, very lucky, or you have been burned and you just don't know about it. It can be a difficult hobby. We're all passionate about it, we love what we do, and it becomes an addiction. But you have to temper that with a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of common sense as well. What I would say is, get to the Militaria fairs, read as many books as you can, build up your collecting circles of trusted collectors and trusted dealers that you can rely on. But don't take anybody's word for it. Go with your gut instinct. If something sounds too good to be true, looks too good to be true, it probably isn't true. The old saying goes, if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. It's a duck. So I'm going to show some photographs on the screen of items I've had in my collection over the years. Some good, some bad, some stunning that I no longer have and I wish I had, and to be honest can't afford to get back. But you know, I've been there, I've had it. The main point is, don't let the addiction get to a point that you sacrifice other things. Friends and family are much more important than collecting, no matter what anybody says. This should be an enjoyable hobby, and if it becomes all-encompassing, you're totally focused on it, you will miss out on other things. So above all, use a bit of common sense, do the knowledge, research your subject, and above all, enjoy what you collect. That's the reason we do it. Anyway, I'm away to sit and look through some of my books. I'm going to do a video about books, Militaria books, because honestly that is one of the best things you can do. Find the right books, study those books, and do the knowledge. Thanks again guys, bye.